Zimbabwe cash crisis worse. Talking about Venezuela once again. Systemic important banks.
They removed the one factor called monetary awareness.
Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RT News updates. And as you can tell from today's title, the question is, does the gold stockpile in the New York Federal Reserve Bank still exist under the city of New York? And so today I'm going to share with you my thoughts as to why I don't believe that is the case. But most recently an article came out from somewhat of a mainstream news source. So it led me to wonder why now, but more importantly, why are they even allowed to mention gold and Federal Reserve in the same sentence in this current environment we're in now? So I'll share my thoughts with you. But before I dive into today's articles, as always,
Recession will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months.
A crash is coming. Now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
If you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.
So as I mentioned today, I have a couple articles I want to share with you and how I don't think that the gold is in the vaults of New York anymore. And so I'm going to point to a couple articles of which I believe will lead you to the same conclusion as well. But more importantly, I want to share an article with you that came out as of yesterday from Yahoo Finance today. And it says the world's largest gold stockpile sits under New York City. And so there's a short little video here which does a great job of talking about how secure the gold is and things of that nature. And if you scroll down beneath it, it gives you a little bit more insight as to what should be in the vaults the last time there was an inspection, which was several years ago, well prior to the Great Recession. And so since that 2008-2009 time frame, there's been a lot of activity in those vaults that would lead me also to believe that there's nothing in those vaults, or nowhere near as much as they telling us right here. But to give you an idea what's going on, as always, feel free to scroll down below to get more information for yourself. But it says about 80 feet below Wall Street lies 6,350 tons of gold, made up of about 500,000 bars. They are collectively worth hundreds of billions of dollars. It says, according to Key to the Vault, a Federal Reserve Bank of New York publication, the gold vault in New York's basement is, quote, the world's largest accumulation of gold and belongs to 36 foreign governments, central banks, and other international organizations. So here we have the idea of the largest accumulation of what we know of. But yet, if you follow the alternative media news, you know that out east, China and Russia have been accumulating gold in very high numbers over the last decade. So that would lead me to question whether or not this current gold stockpile that we're being told about from Yahoo Finance is really the truth. And so here it gives a little bit more detail here. It says at the time that the main vault opened in September 1924, quote, foreign-owned gold on deposit was valued at $26 million, unquote. It says as of August 2017, last year, the amount has dramatically increased to between $240 and $260 billion worth of gold. And so just to look at those numbers, 26 million to 260 billion, nothing's changed with that gold at all. But only thing has changed is the amount of fiat currency in circulation that gives a true accurate account of those metals in nominal fiat terms. And so hence the idea that the gold hasn't changed, will never change, but yet the paper supply and circulation will, giving a higher paper price to the metal. So here's a picture here. But more importantly, I actually want to take you to that book that was referenced in the paragraph above. And so here is a 24-page pamphlet from the New York Fed. And it says the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the key to the gold vault. And so it's quite interesting to read, had a lot of historical stuff inside of it. But yet what caught my eye is this quote from Charles de Gaulle, who's a French statesman that served in World War II, as well as became a political figure after his time in the army. And it says, quote, indeed, there can be no other criterion, no other standard than gold. Yes, gold, which never changes, which can be shaped into ingots, bars, coins, which has no nationality and which is eternally and universally accepted as the unalterable fiduciary value per excellence. That says a lot right there about the importance of gold. So if you scroll through this publication here, it gives you a lot of historical aspects into gold. But what really caught my eye about this particular pamphlet here is the quality of the pictures and how the pictures look extremely old. And so now we're living in a digital age. Everything should be in high definition. But yet these pictures here look like they were pulled out of some old catalog and they're not up to date, which would also lead me to wonder with this particular cage here, is all that gold stuff still present in the format that is pictured here? Scroll down some more, just more detailed information. Talks about the gold standard, and then it talks about the guardian of the gold. It says the gold stored at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is secured in a most unusual vault. Secured. Okay. Once again, I want to show you some pictures that look extremely old. So here we have 3 people in the vaults here. I would assume that this is just a photo op here. And so also, once again, look how old this picture is. And so as you scroll down, you get more old pictures of that nature. And then here on this palette here, it says foreign. So could that mean foreign gold? Not sure. And then if you scroll down to the very bottom, you see more pictures. But this publication here was last edited. It was reprinted in 2008, hence 10 years ago. So this definitely let me know that over the last 10 years, there haven't been much accountability to the gold that's supposed to be in those vaults. So there's 2 terms I want to highlight that has become somewhat of mainstream news nowadays. And it's the whole idea of gold repatriation, which is a part of the whole de-dollarization process. And so if you just type in gold repatriation, you get a better understanding of what that is and how the amount of gold that we're told is there can no longer be the case because of foreign nations repatriating their gold back. And so if you just go to Wikipedia and type in gold repatriation, you'll get all types of information and details. And it says many nations use foreign vaults for safekeeping of parting their gold reserves. It says in 2014, there was a movement by some European nations to return gold stored abroad back to their own country. It says Deutsche Bank reduced its portion of gold held by the Federal Reserve in New York from 51% to 31%, which means so some of that tonnage was moved out of the bank. And we all know, if you've been following alternative media, that it took several years for Germany to get their gold back. So if the gold was there, why would it take so long? Something to consider. So as you scroll down further, it talks about more countries: Venezuela, Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, Austria, India, Mexico. So these are all countries here that over the last decade or so have begun repatriating their gold from New York as well as other banks. And so it's good to say that if there was 6,000 or so tons in the vaults in New York underground, over the last 10 years since the Great Recession, there's been a lot of activity because of de-dollarization. And so here's another article here that says gold repatriation could be sign of things to come. And what I want us to do is scroll down to the very bottom of here. And it says de-dollarization, diversifying away from the dollar. It says repatriation efforts actually signal a turn away from the dollar, says which has dominated international trade and global monetary policy for the past 7 decades. It says for nearly 50 years there has been no link between gold and the US dollar. Its value is derived from mere fiat and faith therein. It says it's not entirely surprising that the longer this fiat money regime continues, the more worried foreign governments become about securing their financial stability. It says gold repatriation isn't the only sign of this. Central banks, particularly in the East, have been consistently hoarding more gold bullion in the decades since the last economic crisis. It says China and Russia have been by far the leaders in this regard, but Turkey greatly accelerated its gold imports last year as well. So here we have somewhat of the true state of what's possibly in those vaults in New York, which I would imagine is nowhere near what we just were told from the Yahoo Finance report there, given the fact that since the Great Recession, there has been massive repatriation of gold by several nations, which we know has come out of those vaults in New York. And we also know that since China and Russia have been accumulating lots of gold, the question has always been, where does that gold come from? And so a lot of people in the alternative media space believes that the United States of America, i.e. the Fed, has been supplying that gold to kind of keep things afloat, as well as to keep the Federal Reserve note, aka the dollar, in global standing still. But yet I would imagine that the gold is not there, as well as not in Fort Knox. That's just my opinion. I'd be curious to find out what you think in this matter. So feel free, scroll down below, leave me a comment. Other than that, look forward to bringing you more news in the future. Enjoy your day.